Last time on Dragon, yeah, just Dragon. Cold World, Return of Cold World. Shout out Cold World. Cold World fucked Allison and Rhaenyra. Shout out Cold World. Cold World. Thailand and Jahair's LMAO. I thought that was just funny. That guy looks like Dave Portnoy to me. So it's funny to see like the Dave Portnoy guy that's been comedic relief in whichever scene he's been in. Just like basically reduced to like a fucking pony for Jaharis. I thought Jaharis was cute. Very again relief in the situation, but the relief obviously with him is very short lived. Um, Allison still wants peace. We see that throughout the first like 99% of this episode. Allison still wants peace, and again we see this series makes a note. At least this, as in this TV show. I don't know about the book, but the series makes a note to tell us like as far as we've gotten so far in this, we're still not removed from Allison, Olivia Cook Allison being at heart Emily Carey Allison, and likewise for Rhaenyra. These are very different people who have lived a lot of life between then and now, but still at the heart, you know, still foundationally building up. So that's something Allison would have. Like Allison's been preaching peace no matter how bad it's gotten. She just wanted a little bit of equality. Maybe I take that fucking kid's eye, and we're back even. The Greens are move like they're up 100. Yeah. So basically, the overarching point there is you have people in basketball games, football games, whatever, that are up by a lot, up big in the game. You just start slacking, start doing some shit they shouldn't be doing, just resting on their laurels. Resting on their laurels. That's an idiom that means they're taking a fucking break and they're not on the ball as much as they used to be when they were, more competitive. I don't think that. Let me just see what I got here. So Aemon and Aegon are both flawed. I mean, like I said, everybody's flawed, but those two, being like the face of your operations, which being the king and the prince, they more or less are the face of it, while they don't have the brain to really be the backing. Um, they're both just like as leaders. When we go back to Game of Thrones, like the leaders there kind of had to be like almost solitary decision makers, like outside of Joffrey, who's just a face for like Cersei and Jamie and everybody else, Tywin and all that. Rob like basically took the bull by the horns. I mean, he did stuff with his mom, as far as like some planning, but he even like basically projected his mom's advances in terms of like how to operate with blood relatives. At a certain point, they got killed. Um, who else? Who else? Like, I mean, some of these kings, like Stannis Baratheon, like kind of went off the deep end. I mean, a lot of these kings um, had autonomy back then, but in this one, there I guess it's pretty similar to what happened with Joffrey and the Lannisters. Like it's just Aemon is Joffrey, and Aegon is kind of a piece of Aemon here. So very flawed people that are leaders, I suppose. Larys is an evil nigga, bro. So it's just like speaking of Larys, talking to Allison, and the way he just like does very very evil shit with no like real remorse. I mean, what value he really has is that like we have Allison at a point where like she's able to converse with a guy that's like this fucking dark with no real like second like guess to you know allowing him to do the shit he does. Like she hears he's doing the shit he does. She asks him for updates, reports, all that stuff. She just goes about it on her day. So no matter how good you think Allison is in the day, between like setting candles for the dead and all that shit, I mean, she's still doing some fucking dark ass nigga. So, does Allison have the rock? Oh yeah. This should be the only bullet point. But so we see Allison after being kind of troubled by some trouble in quotations by some of the stuff that she hears from Lyris. Directly after that, she takes a shower with her handmaidens, and when we get that scene, it's a thing where some some flakes or something is taken off of her and put down into like this little receptacle. And in that, she like is being like she's getting like her hand like really diligently scrubbed by her handmaid. She like takes the I don't know what you call it, like a sponge or whatever. Um, and she tells like everybody to leave, and she starts scrubbing the same spot again and again and again and again, like on her arm, and just scrubs the shit out of it for like 10, 20 seconds, something like that. Uh, Game of Thrones, at least, like I don't know about House of Dragon, Game of Thrones wouldn't have that scene be there for that long unless it meant something. Like she's obviously troubled emotionally, but like, something happened there. And if you remember, uh, our guy Viserys, his Scarlet Rot. I forgot what it was actually called in this universe. I just call it Scarlet Rot because of Elden Ring, but um, grayscale or whatever. His shit started with a nick on like his hand or something like that, his finger, I think, from touching the Iron Throne, and it kind of spread from there. Like he had to get his arm chopped off. All right, so the demount, I guess I'm at demount, unmount. I don't know how to pronounce that. What's the correct verbiage there? But the scene where basically those like, so this is Rhaenyra still like on the mountains near where you would see Lucerys wash up if he was washing up somewhere. These fishermen like find a dragon wing that they look to collect, and then Rhaenyra flies over, and her dragon goes over there. They all scatter, and she goes to investigate the rubbish. When she gets off of the dragon, this is like the only time like I could think of like complaining about CGI here. It looks very weird. Like it does not look entirely fluid. How between I don't know if it's the dragon, if it's how she gets off of the dragon that looks a little bit strange. It looks kind of like it's almost like too fluid, too unreal, not natural. I just wanted to mention that. Otto is hard carrying. So basically, Otto, and I mentioned this at another point, but like he's pretty much the web. I would say like every piece on his side, like every single like chess piece, he makes sure it touches those chess pieces. If it's aiming, saying wild shit when hearing the request of the people. If it's Allison and hearing her out, hearing how she feels about his manipulation of events or the way he talks about her. If it's, I said Aemon earlier, I think, but I meant Aegon. If it's Aemond and kind of his scheming with Christian Cole, I mean, like all pieces on his side of the chessboard, he accounts for, which I can honestly say that's an improvement over a lot of like some of these. I guess I'm comparing him to Kings rather than like Hand the Kings. I feel like Littlefinger probably did something like that, or even like Littlefinger's buddy. What's the eunuch? It's V something. Varys. So Varys. I think Varys is something similar. Lair's probably would too. I mean, Lair's. I think I have it written down here somewhere, but Lair's basically interacts with the king for the first time that we see in this piece. So he does pretty similar stuff. I guess the manipulators usually like try to spread pretty wide-reaching webs, but Otto is basically keeping like their efforts together because I would say the one thing that I mentioned this again at some point, but the blacks have way more unity than the Greens do, like just significantly more. The Greens have too many, I think, like self-interested actors, at least in my opinion, and they just don't have like the same level of like I think they have loyalty. Like we even see that covered by Otto and his daughter. They have loyalty, as in the king and the prince respect their elders, but there's not like the level of like love and compassion that makes me think like if these people really had it to where they were down by 100, would they still be acting together or would they just fucking scatter apart? I think it would just scatter. Like, I think they'd all fight for their own self survival. So I think Otto is really like the web keeping all this together. Side bullet point Hugh. I just wanted to mention Hugh. That's a fucking crazy name in this universe. So yeah, Laris trying to boss out Otto. So basically, we get to where like Laris makes a play on Otto, not Otto, but on the king. Maybe like 10 minutes, if that, after he was talking to the daughter, the queen here. So it's kind of interesting that he makes a play that quickly, but he does. I mean, he tries to pretty much undermine Otto, which we see a moment when the king is hearing out the request of the poor that Laris is staring dead ass at Otto, like just locked in, which I think is interesting because we haven't had too many moments where the schemers have directly competed against each other. Varys and I think Littlefinger rarely like had enough of like an on-screen like battle to really call them like you know enemies or anything like that. I don't know what you count Tyrion as, but or Tyrion. I don't think Tyrion like battles against Littlefinger or Varys. Like he's still friends with Varys, so I mean, I guess you said Tyrion and Tywin battle, but it's not like an intelligence way, like brain against brain. It's just rare we see like the two brains between operations kind of like directly compete. And Larys wants what Otto has. Like Larys wants to be the hand of the king, more or less. It's probably not worth mentioning really, but like Larys's family was put into danger by Otto. I mean, Larys actually did the deed of killing them, I believe, if I remember correctly. But um, you know, the whole like High Towers trying to, and by High Towers I mean all the Greens, like really like besmirching the status, legitimacy of the blacks and their whole potential strong affiliation. I mean, Larys maybe cares about that. I don't think he does, but maybe that stuff matters to him. Trying to undermine the Greens. So either way, Larys wants where Otto is at, so he's gonna probably try to get him out the paint to do that. And I think he also wants to have, one thing a lot of these characters want is two viable options. Like the smart guys, they want two potential candidates back, and he has Allison pretty locked down, relatively speaking. Helps him to have two people though. The Greens have a fuck family line. The dirt, the comparison, and empathy undermines them, even though they may be keener. So yeah, basically, kind of what I was saying. They're smarter, definitely. The intelligence between Otto, if you want to count people not directly part of the family, Laris, Aemon, I think is obviously like Aemon and Aegon are more impactful than Lucerys and Jacaerys have been to this point, but those guys are Aegon and Aemon are born on third basically, and Lucerys is dead. So Jacaerys is like the guy that at this point has to be like, okay, I got to build it my way up, and I think it's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna be like the fighting type. I don't think he's gonna like fucking go beat Aemon in a fight, but I think he's gonna like find his own niche in this. But yeah, they just don't really have much like outward love, I guess, in this. So it's a lot of like just just moments where you kind of see like this could easily fall apart at any moment with them. It could also happen to blacks, but like to me, the blacks like the biggest flaw in them is just like how they're they got two things. Basically, they have a high level of compassion to fuck them in a battle that becomes ugly, and then also Damon is more like the Greens than he is a black. He's a very dogged and determined and laser focused and heartless motherfucker. So a lot different than the rest of them. But he gets shit done, as we're gonna see here. So the white orange flash from Syria. So you know, I just put down. You gotta love the small pieces making stanzas. One good thing that establishes a universe like this and makes it like something you want to continue diving into is that the people at the bottom seemingly, for at least fleeting moments, seem to have as much importance as people at the top. That's kind of like how Rose felt in the first one. She was like kind of the queen of the brothel, some shit like that. Kind of like what Syria is, I think, in this one. Um, these people that are at the bottom that have like power plays, you need those people to make this feel like a developed universe, not just like 7 or 8 characters that have relevancy and a bunch of nobodies. So I think somebody like Mysteria, like what she is, matters a lot in the course of this story. Not too much about her specifically that I have written down, but just what she represents. Eric dropped a bar. So basically, he was talking to Damon, who was like, and it's like, yo, you should have fucking killed that guy, and we got to clean up your mess and all this bullshit. I don't want to hear about your honor. But then, like, Eric is like explaining himself, like, yo, I did my job, and what really was the problem is that, like, you fucking Targaryens get your shit together, and you compromise everybody under you. And, that's just a bar. Um, what he said specifically was a pretty good quote. So go look that up if you haven't, like, if you don't remember it. Praying that mentions of titles become sparse in the future. So yeah, just the whole like Rhaenyra, First Man, Andals, blah blah blah. They still have less titles than fucking Daenerys did, but we just we I think it was 3 times in this, at least 2 times, because it was one each for Eamon and Rhaenyra. But I just gotta cut that out, man. You can't have it every episode. It's just it lessens the value of it, you know.